So welcome back to my channel. This is Dom and an update on some of the painting projects I've been working on in the last couple of weeks. It's been a weird old period, having been obsessed with War of the Roses. I haven't done any War of the Roses in the last little while. Sorry, that camera's a little bit wonky. There you go. Yeah, and what's even more shocking, well, I'll show you what's even more shocking later on. But first up, let me show you this Sherman. It's not just any kind of Sherman, as those people who know the film Kelly's Heroes will be hopefully aware that this is the oddball Sherman. Classic film, absolutely classic film, and if you watch the Monday Night Plastic Crack podcast that I co-host with 3 other reprobates, we were talking about our favourite films and sort of historically or wargaming inspiring films. And I said my sort of guilty secret is Kelly's Heroes. I think it's just an awesome film. Combination of some quite good fight scenes, some lovely vehicles, and tremendous comedy. And, you know, it's got Clint Eastwood and Telly Savalas and lots of other stars in there, which is just, you know, icing on the cake. So I took advantage of the offer that Jim at Warlord Games was running at the time for those who got the code from the Plastic Crack, where he was discounting Warlords and various other manufacturers, and I got him to buy me this oddball Sherman from Warlords. It's a resin model. All the bits all come on already cast on. The figures are separate. You have to, they're metal. And it's just a really straightforward model. That said, if you want the hatches open, which obviously you do if you want to show off the crew, here's a bit of biatch to get them to sit just right and stick properly. And then it's got the loud hailer for playing the music as you go triumphantly into battle. It's just got all the features, you know, the extra piping to make the gun look bigger than a 75 or 76, whatever it was, the 50 cal on the top. Just awesome. I love the film. It genuinely is my favourite film. I could watch it endlessly. This actually comes with special oddball or special Kelly's Heroes rules if you so wish to play your bolt action game that way, including firing paint rounds, which is just awesome. But it's a lovely kit. I really enjoyed doing it. I'm sort of hankering after doing American Army. So oddball might make an appearance in my American Army, who knows. So talking about American armies, this is the Hellcat model from Warlords. This is a plastic kit, really simple to put together. As I've said many times on the channel, I'm not a modeler, I'm a gamer, and therefore I want my models to be fairly simple to put together, and this one was. You know, I know everyone loves things like Rubicon models because they're so detailed and so accurate, and undoubtedly they are, but I can't handle them. Too complicated for me. I've got such fat fingers, it's just hopeless. But this was lovely, went together really easily. It's a lovely model. I kept it very simple. Same with the oddball tank. Actually, I undercoated with a very dark green, and then sort of did a zenithal highlights, but a bit more than that, up on the higher surfaces with a lighter green, and then the wash over the sort of a very dark wash over the top, and then added mud and a bit of dry brushing with some silver to accentuate the metal edges, and then a bit of deck tan at the end, and it gives you a nice little effect. And then I've used the European mud from Vallejo on the base and sort of put some up around the tracks, and up around the tracks is a really good place to hide those inevitable joins that you get when you're putting together tracks. They never quite go together, well, for me anyway. As I say, I'm not a modeler, but having some of that mud and sort of caking it over the join is fantastic. Looks to be a really effective little tank. This, you can have it as a recce option. even though it's open topped, but being recce is very powerful in bolt action, so I'm kind of intrigued. I might have to have this my recce option and the oddball as my armour option. Yeah, see whether the points work on that. Anyway, beautiful model, really pleased with it. So not quite such a beautiful model, I wouldn't say, but very functional. This is a 3D printed model that I got from Paint and Sprues. Oh, it must be 2, maybe even 3 years ago. It's been sitting on the windowsill in my study for all that time, unpainted, unloved, and I just thought while I was doing those other vehicles I'd do this. You can see it's a very early resin because you can see all the resin marks, all the sort of tier layer marks, but it's a truck, right? It's a truck. I did the same process, dark green. In fact, I think I used black on this one, all underneath, and then sort of glorified Xenophil highlights with the lighter green, and then same process, dry brushing some deck tan and a little bit of silver around the metal works, and then put some of the transfers I had left over from the other vehicles on it just to bring it to life, and basted up with the same Vallejo mud and some tufts, and I think it works quite well. So I also went back into my stash, or various stashes that I've got in my collections, and pulled out these 6 Brunswick Avant-Garde riflemen. They're front rank miniatures. I bought them a little while ago. When I've shown before on the channel, I've got a Brunswick army, well, Brunswick force I can use for sharp practice, and I wanted some of these guys to go with it. They're lovely models, really. I do like front rank, and I'm so pleased that they've been saved. Well, not safe because the guys are going retiring. You know, everybody has a right to have their own lives after work, but we're worried that the front rank brand would disappear and all those wonderful sculpts would disappear, but luckily Gripping Beast have picked it up as a business, and hopefully by the time this video comes out you'll be able to buy front rank figures again via Gripping Beast. So fantastic news. Anyway, lovely models, really like the sculpts of these. These will be a huge addition to my Brunswick force. I like the fact they've got the light grey uniform and then sort of edging around the very Austrian style hats with the green there. I just like them very, very much indeed. Really enjoyed painting these up. Yeah, not much more to say other than that. They're rifle arms, so they'll be pretty good in sharp practice. So I talked about these figures recently on the Plastic Crack podcast. I've had them kicking around in my study for ages. I bought them on impulse on eBay and was hugely disappointed by the paint job on them. They're really, you know, when you look at figures on pictures and you think, yeah, they're pretty good, I think they'll be all right. And they arrive and they just look nothing like nothing like that. I mean, they're obviously still the same figures, but just the paint job was much worse than I feared. And I kind of just left them there in the box, and they've been in there for quite a while. And I was sort of tidying up the study because of moving into the new building. Sorry, a number of these have turned around. And I thought, well, I'll dig them out. They are American War of Independence British Grenadiers. And I'll insert a picture here if I can work out how to do it of what one looked like before I got working on it. Basically what I've done is just touch them up. I've gone in with some red, matte red that I use from Scale 75, which deadens down that horrible shine that there is on those figures. Originally touched up the white belts and the turnbacks, gave it a wash with the special red coat wash that I use, touched up a bit of the skin tone. And I think actually rebase them obviously on penny size bases, because I'll probably use them for sharp practice if anything. And I think the effect is actually pretty good. I need to work on the base on these movement trays. Obviously it's too different. The green is too bright compared to the bases, but you know, it's by the by. But I'm relatively happy with the figures. They've sort of come back to life a bit, and to the point where I may use them I may just put them back on eBay. But you know, it didn't take terribly long to touch up this 24-man unit and make them viable again, at least, and to a point where I wouldn't be embarrassed about putting them on the table, although a lot of them have lost their bayonets, but happens with older figures. Anyway, that's them. So talking about the stash, this is a couple of general figures that I had from again from Front Rank in the stash of shame, and I got around to painting them up. I'm really pleased I did. So those who don't recognise, this is the British General Picton, renowned at Waterloo for going to battle in his basically civilian clothes, his top hat and his umbrella. Sadly was killed at Waterloo, one of arguably one of Wellington's most able sub-generals. Really effective guy who commanded a lot of the Scottish troops. Inspirational to them. Every army has got to have a Picton in it if you're playing British. I think it's compulsory. Next fellow along is Beresford, who is an equally interesting character. He was responsible for the reorganisation and retraining of the Portuguese army in the Napoleonic Wars. He was British and acted as their sort of, if you like, sort of de facto C&C throughout the war, and Peninsular War particularly, and was a very effective, if not stunning, commander, but certainly organisationally had a lot to do with making the Portuguese army almost as good as the British army in the Peninsular War, and making them a very viable ally for the British, and certainly helped to win the war as a result of that. So nice character, again, just based them on simple circular bases. I didn't do dioramas because I want to be able to use them for multiple different systems. They're just using geek gaming basing material with a few tufts added in. Simple, effective, I think. So this thing's a little bit shiny, but and I still need to sort of finish it off. Ken, just because it's not based doesn't mean it's not finished, idiot. He had a go at me the other week on Plastic Crack for having a cart that didn't have a base. The man who gets obsessed with people not basing vehicles was worrying about my cart having a base. Anyway, by the by, this is a water or a wine cart. I got it from Warlord Games. I want to find some horses that can draw it. I just can't find anything suitable at the moment, because in sharp practice often it is a sort of an additional sort of, I can't think what they're called now, but an extra points, or you can get one of these, a water butt, because there's various random events happen where you need water, such as your officer steps in dog do or something like that. It could also, and probably what I'm going to use it for initially at least, is an objective marker to capture the wine or something like that. So nice little kit, comes in halves. It's metal. Bizarrely, I thought it was going to be resin, but it's metal. As I say, I just want some horses to cart horses that's suitable to have it there to be kept pushing it along. So talking about objectives or character things for sharp practice games, these are some civilian, or gentlemen really, that again from Front Rank, from the stash. Man with a dog, and three other gentlemen, and I just thought they'd be really useful as part of roles or objectives within a sharp practice game, or a AWI game, or sorry, not A, but Shakos and Bayonets game. One of those sort of games, really useful to have characters. I've got some sort of more farmy type people, so I wanted some sort of more sort of gentrified figures that I could use. I guess they would also double up as a physic or a gentleman explorer, that kind of thing, as some of those options you can have in sharp practice. Again, lovely little models, really fun to do. Thoroughly recommend the civilians from Front Rank. They're really good. Okay, so I don't want anybody to fall off their chairs here. but these are some French Napoleonic voltigeurs of the line. Yeah, I did say that right, French. I make a big play sometimes about the fact I don't play French. That doesn't mean I won't paint French. It doesn't mean really I won't play French. I just like to take the mickey. But I wanted to build some skirmish troops that I could use in potential solo games of Shakos and Bayonets. And so a little while ago, North Star were doing a very good deal on a French army, inverted commas, a couple of boxes of line troops and a couple of boxes of voltigeurs like this, and some officers. And I took advantage of it because it was actually really good price, and I really quite like the North Star miniatures. I think they're quite chunky and paint up really well. I've got a number of them from French Indian Wars and American War of Independence, and I really like them. So this is the first group of 6 voltigeurs painted up. They're dead simple to do. They don't have the bib like the line troops do. These are just straight blue jackets. There's their officer. I've got another group of 6 who I will paint up next, and then I've got 2 groups of 8 line infantry and another officer. Sadly the same officer, because they only did 1 officer, but it'll be a little force that I can use in scenarios, or if I'm playing solo in Shakos and Bayonets, then perfect. But don't tell anyone, they're French. So what to say about these fellas, other than that, I just completely show I have no credibility whatsoever. So those who watch the Plastic Crack podcast will know that there is an incessant and continual talk about the game Badgers and Burrows. It's a game of it's a skirmish game where various woodland creatures fight it out with swords and spears and magic and guns and all sorts of things, and I kind of just thought, you know, kind of why? But the more I look at the game, not that I've ever played the game or have any real intention to play the game, I'm more and more impressed with how wonderful the figures are. They are beautiful, beautiful models and fantastic sculpts, beautifully produced. If you remember some time ago, as a joke, Martin sent me 3 figures, which I actually, much against my better judgment, thoroughly enjoyed painting and loved the effect that I got with them. And then the other week, Steve was talking about how he had been painting up some Badgers and Burrows figures and how much he really enjoyed it and the quality of the sculpts, and I thought, yeah, you know what, they are just so awesome. And before the show had even finished, I'd ordered a bundle of them, just something as a bit of breakup and a bit of light relief for when I'm sort of looking for something different to paint, and that's what I am planning to use them for. I've got a couple more, but this is these are the newer ones that I've painted, and they're awesome. I mean, they just are such high quality models. This is obviously the Dog Warrior, which is the biggest one. He's a resin model. I was slightly disappointed when he arrived and he was resin and not metal, but he's such a big figure that I suppose he has to be resin. All the others are metal. This guy is Otter, Landschneck guy. This is a burglar mouse. This guy is a bunny guardsman, mercenary type figure. There's the toad, who's a magician, I believe. The squirrel, I think he's supposed to be ranger. There's a sparrow, and this one, the lady cat, I just love, with a sniper rifle. Had to do her in a sort of very bright pink to bring out the full glory of the sort of I guess the sort of Madame kind of figure. White cat with pink dress just seemed appropriate somehow. And as I say, I think, you know, the modelling and the sculpting on these figures is absolutely fantastic. They also come almost entirely clean. They do such a good job of tidying them up before you get them, that when you get them, there's very, very little you need to do. Just for sort of comparison, this is one I've still got to do, and you can see all I've done is can you see that? Hopefully that's coming out. All I've done with him is undercoat him and then give it a wash, and you can see the detail that comes out on these figures. I mean, they're awesome. So he's one I'll be working on soon. But yeah, what can I say? In this video I've shown you Badgers and Burrows and French. I don't know, I can only say that normal service will resume soon, and I don't know what happened to the real Dom. Anyway, enough of my kerfuffle. That's what I've been working on recently. Lots of bits and bobs, delving into the pile of shame in readiness for having to go through it and pare it down even further for the move into the new bunker, which I'm so looking forward to kit out and get out there and actually have all my paints, all my toys all set out permanently. Really pleased. I've also started to go back through some of the other stash of shames or partially done projects. There's some Napoleonic Russians, working through those. So yeah, got a real burst for enthusiasm for finishing off some projects. I do need to go back and do some more of those Romans that I was working on just to get them finished. And at some point go back into the wood elves that I've stalled on completely, and I think some of the suggestions people gave me around, you know, copying some of the, I was finding it tricky without a uniform, a guide to follow, which is weird because I didn't have a guide for these fellas, but I found these really easy. But the wood elves, I wanted to get them really right, and how I was painting them just didn't seem to be working for me. Somebody suggested just looking through some fantasy art, get some inspiration there, and I think that's what I need to do. I just need to go and spend a bit of time digging. Anyway, that's by the by. That's not talking about these current projects, but I'm just trying to clear some of the backlog. I've got these Napoleonics were partially done. I've got some Franco-Prussians that are partially done. I've got some more cowboys to do for Dead Man's Hand, and I've got actually some AWI British infantry that are partially painted. If I can finish all those groups off, I'll be pleased, and then before I start on anything more. Plus I've got some more War of the Roses figures that are made up and undercoated, ready to go. Mainly some, actually I've got 2 lots of cavalry I need to do, so I need to embark on those at some point too. So yeah, lots to do, never a shortage of projects on the go, and that's without starting any new ones. Oh, and I've got some Saracens and various other things to do for the Normans in Sicily project, which I may well restart, given that everybody seems to have got very excited about First Crusade. Hashtag I blame Martin. Anyway, there you go, enough from me. I hope you're doing well. I hope your projects are going well. I hope you're staying safe in this mad world. And I will see you again soon. This is Dom, signing out.